Okay, I'm going to go over how to calculate the mean of group data and the weighted mean, and they are slightly different, although they are also very similar. So I'm just going to go over that really quick so that way we can really understand how to make that work. So first of all, I'm going to, let's see here, share my screen with you. Share screen. And here we go. So we've got the weighted mean. So weighted mean is found by multiplying the number of observations, in other words, X, by its corresponding weight, or W. And so we use this quite a bit. And the reason why is if you have a situation where you have the same values over and over and over again, the values aren't differing, and you have a certain quantity of each number of values, instead of adding up all of those individual values and dividing it by the total number of observations, you can attach a weight to each individual value. For instance, so say Dr. Eide, me, decided to go to Sonic to buy everyone in the class a drink. I know, very generous of me. 5 students decided, you know what, I just want a small, and it cost $1.19 for the small. 7 students got a medium, which is $1.69. 10 students got a large, which is $1.89, and 16 students got a Route 44 drink, which is $2.19. And this assumes that, you know, the students aren't getting any special add-ins or anything like that, but these are the prices of those drinks. So there's five at $1.19, 7 at $1.69, 10 at $1.89, and 16 at $2.19. And so we've got that wonderful information right here. And so here is the formula. You've got the weighted mean equals the weight multiplied by X plus the next weight multiplied by the next X plus the next weight multiplied by the X next by the next X, and so on and so forth, all divided by the sum of all the weights. And so you can do it just like this, type it into your calculator or whatever, or if you want to, I'm going to just go ahead and go into Excel and do this in Excel. And so I'm going to put it in a new sheet. And let's see here, I'm going to make it so that I can see it. And I've got 5 at $1, 1.19. Okay, and then I've got 7 at $1.69. And then I've got here 10 at $1.89. And then I've got 16 at $2.19. So I'm going to do a fun little formula really quick. And the formula that I'm going to do is equals 5 multiplied by 1.19. Okay, so this is the sum of all of the small drinks. Okay, this is the sum of all the medium drinks. This is the sum of all the large drinks. And this right here is the sum of all the Route 44 drinks. So that's great. So now we have the sum of each of the individual sizes of drinks. And what we do from here is we add up all of these together. So equals sum. And this right here is my total bill. And now you guys can see why I don't buy everyone drinks from Sonic for class, because I would go broke. So $71.72. That's not including tax or anything, because we just don't want to mess with that right now. But $71.72. And in order to get the average amount that each drink costs, we just have to divide it by the total number of drinks ordered. So what's the total number of drinks ordered? Equals sum. And these are the total number of drinks. So this right here is the frequency. This right here is the weight, or sorry, this right here is the weight or the frequency. And then this right here is the value or cost. And then this right here is weight multiplied by X, or the value. And so now we have equals the sum of all of the products, which is right there, divided by the total number of observations. So the average drink cost is $1.88 or $1.89. And so this is very accurate because all of these are precise. So $1.89 is the value of those Sonic drinks. Okay, so that's the weighted mean. When you have very specific observations and you have a specific number of weights for each value of observation. Next, the mean of group data. The mean of group data is very similar to the mean the mean of the weighted mean, but less accurate. And the reason why is because instead of having precise numbers, the weighted mean said, hey, you know what, we have exactly, we know that this costs $1.19, this costs $1.69, this costs $1.89, this costs $2.19. We don't have that anymore because, you know what, I decided to let you guys have add-ins. That's right. You can add lime to your Diet Dr. Pepper. You can have a slushie. You can have, different drinks that cost more, for different add-ins. I know I'm being extremely generous. It's not much different, but there are a few different ways to go about this. Okay, so you can do it just like what you did with the group data. Okay, but or with the weighted mean, where you have the frequency multiplied by the midpoint of the first one, frequency multiplied by the midpoint of the second one, frequency multiplied by the midpoint of the third one, so on and so forth, all divided by the total frequency. Or we can talk about relative frequency. Okay, so the big question here is, why are we using the midpoint? Okay, first of all, you normally only get data like this, right? You have classes and you have, here are the total number of observations or the total number of drinks that fall inside of this class. So between $1 all the way up to $1.50. So in other words, $1.49.9, $1.50 up to $1.99.99, $2 up to $2.49.99, so on and so forth. So we have all of this information. This is how we normally get it. And in order to be able to find the mean of the group data, the very first step that we have to do is find the midpoint. Why should we find the midpoint? The reason why we need to find the midpoint is because, for all intents and purposes, the midpoint is really our best guess estimate of, the values that are in here. Are the values, are they closer to $1.50? Are they closer to $1? We really don't know. There's no information in here that tells us that it's going to be $1.50 or it's going to be $1. So our best guess estimate is going to be the midpoint. Okay, so step one, find the midpoint. And so I'm going to pull up my trusty Excel document and put this right here. So step one, find the midpoint of each class. In order to find the midpoint of each class, you need to have you have the lower value of the class. So we have all of our classes. This is the amount of money that's spent on the drinks. So between $1 and $1.50, so equals, and I'm going to put this in parentheses, 1 plus 150, and then divided by 2. Okay, so this gives me the midpoint, or the halfway between these two. And because I put the formula in here like this, where I did 1 plus 150 divided by 2, I can literally just drag it down. And so now I have the midpoints of this plus this divided by 2, this plus this divided by 2, the lower plus the upper divided by 2, lower plus upper divided by 2. Great. Next thing, just because we're in a frequency table, I really want to have the interval or the width. And so this is really straightforward. And all of the intervals are going to be the exact same. And it's going to be literally the upper minus the lower. So we've got the width, and these should all be identical. If they're not, you've got to have a really good reason for them not being identical, but we'll get into that. Well, we probably won't touch that in this class. And then the next thing that we're going to want to do is find the relative frequency. In order to find the relative frequency, remember that means how does each individual class, or the frequencies in each individual class, compare to the whole? So we need to find the whole. So equals sum. Oops, I don't know why that's not working. F3 to F7. Yep. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Okay, so we've got the sum. So there's a total of 38 drinks ordered. And so the relative frequency is going to be equals this frequency divided by the total frequency. And I'm going to put a $sign in front of the 8 because I'm going to drag it down again and I don't want the 8 to move. So I put a $sign right there. And for you, this is probably not going to show up as percentages. So what you need to do is you need to highlight and go, let's see here, and click on home. And then what do you want? You want percentages. So it'll show up as percentages. Okay. And so we've got frequency. The next thing is frequency, cumulative frequency and relative frequency. Notice it says cumulative. So we don't have to do that for this. I'm going to do it really quick just because it's good to do that. It's good to have it as a point of reference. And also I just want to make sure that you guys feel good about this. So this frequency is equals this. Okay, then this equals sum of these two equals sum of these three equals sum of these four, and then equals sum of these five. Once again, we don't need that for this right now, but I just wanted you guys to see this. And then because the relative frequency is right next to it, I'm literally just going to drag this over. So I dragged it from here over to here. I just dragged the formulas. And so now you'll see that the relative frequency, and this is how it'll show up for you too. And I'm going to change it to percent. And I like having a couple decimals. There we go. Okay, so we've got the cumulative relative frequency, relative frequency, and just frequency. And so the next step we need to do is multiply the midpoint by the relative frequency of each class. Okay, so we're going to do equals the midpoint multiplied by the relative frequency, and we're going to drag this down. Okay, so we've got the midpoint multiplied by the relative frequency. Make sure you don't do the cumulative relative frequency. Do the midpoint multiplied by the relative frequency. And now we're going to do equals sum, and we're going to, there we go. And this right here is the sum of all of the midpoints multiplied by the relative frequency. So this is one way to do it, where you just multiply the midpoint by the relative frequency of each class, and then you add all of those products together. You could do it the exact same way. So notice I did 1, 2, 3, 4. You could do it the exact same way that you did with the weighted mean, where you did the midpoint multiplied by the frequency divided by 38. So the same thing, this multiplied by this gives you, then this multiplied by this, then this multiplied by this multiplied by this multiplied by this. You add all those products together divided by 38, it would give you the exact same answer. Okay, so that's two ways to go about doing that. And so this right here is the grouped mean. Big deal here. This is not as accurate as an arithmetic mean. An arithmetic mean is that you have every single observation accounted for, and you add all of those together and you divide it by the total number of frequencies. This right here is, you've got a midpoint, okay? And so this is more or less our best guess estimate of the average of everything that's in here. And it gives us something that's really close, but it won't necessarily be perfect. So just be aware of that. And so I am going to show you right here. And once again, you could do it like this, where you've got in a formula 1.32 or 0.132 multiplied by 1.25. So 1.25 multiplied by 1.32. And then same thing, 0.132 multiplied by 1.75, 0.316 multiplied by 2.25 plus 0.316 multiplied by 2.75, then plus 0.105 multiplied by 3.25, and you add all those together and it'll give you the exact same answer. Okay. So that is how you do the mean of group data. And I intentionally went through the entire table, and the reason why is because you guys will have to go through a table like this on your exam. And what I would suggest is, when you get to a table like that, you literally just, you grab this Oops. You grab the data, Control C. I would just grab it just like this. And then you go into Excel. And then you say, okay, I've got the data. Now I can do all of everything that I want to with it. And so just copy it from the test, put it right into here, and you can work it all out in Excel, and it goes really fast. So yeah, that's the mean of group data and the mean of the weighted mean. The geometric mean, I'm not going to really go over this too much, except all that it is the mean over time, or more specifically, the rate of increase over time. And so say, for instance, you have 12 values right here, because you're looking at the value of your portfolio in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, all the way through the end of the year. And you want to know what is your increase over time. You multiply all those together and you take the 12th root of that. Or another way to do it is rate of increase over time, value at the end of a period, value at the start of a period, -1. And then if you're looking at 12 months, take the 12th root of that. So that is how you take the rate of increase over time. You will definitely use this in finance and accounting, so be aware of that. And we're just not using it a lot right now in statistics for this class, so I'm not going to make you do too much with that, except for the fact that you got to know what it is. So, yep, that's geometric mean, that's weighted mean, and that's the mean of group data.